In the cold darkness of space, many alien races watched the galaxy from their high stations and clean halls. Most planets were calm and full of life. Trade moved smoothly. Peace was normal. But there was always one place on every star map that had a red mark, a warning. That place was Earth. Earth was not like other planets. Its weather was violent. Storms broke mountains. Its animals were deadly, fast, and clever. The humans, the only intelligent life there, were even more dangerous. They were quick to fight, fast to learn, and impossible to control. Because of all this, the aliens called Earth a death world. No one visited, no one contacted it. They only watched from far away through satellites and spy probes hidden behind the moon. And from those dark corners they waited just in case. The Deathworlders ever looked up and noticed. The Galactic Council had long decided, never disturb Earth. The humans did not know about the wider galaxy, and that was good. It was safer that way. Let the humans live and die on their own. Let them destroy each other if they must. Let the death world remain silent. But then, Earth changed. It happened without warning. First, small things. Weather satellites stopped, sending signals. Then, ground cameras went black. One by one, the machines orbiting Earth went quiet. At first, the Council thought it was a technical problem, but soon, deep scanners found something strange. A pulse. A massive energy spike from Earth, stronger than anything the humans had built before. It was like a flare of light in deep space. Then, nothing. Total silence. No more signals. No more data. Earth had gone dark. The news shook the Council. In the great meeting halls, alien voices spoke over each other in fear. Some said Earth had destroyed itself in war. Others believed the humans had finally seen the satellites and were now hiding. A few whispered darker thoughts. Maybe the humans were preparing for something. For many days, they debated. Some races wanted to send a team to check. Others warned them not to. You don't poke a sleeping beast, one elder said, especially not a death worlder. In the middle of all this fear stood one voice, calm, steady, and brave, Captain Zaylor. He was from a science race known for their logic, not war. But his curiosity was stronger than his fear. He stepped forward and said, "I will go." The council room grew quiet. All eyes turned to him. "You will die," someone said. Zaylor shook his head. "Maybe, but we need to know the truth." Against the wishes of many, Zaylor took a small scout ship. Just 5 crew members, all handpicked, all brave. They left from the edge of the galaxy and aimed for the silent planet. It was not a war mission. It was a mission of answers. As the ship flew closer to Earth, the crew watched the blue planet grow larger on the screen. It looked peaceful, like it always did. Clouds moved slowly across oceans. Continents rested under the sun. Nothing looked wrong, but the scanner said otherwise. The air had changed. The energy fields were strange. The planet was hiding something. They entered the atmosphere. No human weapons fired. No signals came. It was too quiet. The ship landed near what used to be a large city. Once full of noise and life, now it stood empty. Tall buildings covered in dust. Cars left in streets. Lights off. No bodies, no fire. Just silence. Zaylor stepped onto the Earth, his boots touching soil no alien had touched before. His team followed, scanning every sound, every movement. But there was nothing, not even birds, not even wind. Then they found it. A message, carved into a wall in human writing. The letters were clear, sharp, and fresh. It had not been there long. It said, "We see you." Captain Zaylor looked at the words for a long time. His second-in-command asked, "Do you think they're watching us?" Zaylor replied, "No, I think they've been watching us for a long time." At that moment, far above, a camera hidden in a broken streetlight turned slightly, focusing on the captain's face. Deep underground, machines came alive. Lights blinked. A signal was sent. Not to the stars, but deeper into Earth. Something had awakened. The Council had feared the humans would respond. Now they had. And somewhere on Earth, behind thick walls and deeper shadows, a voice whispered in the dark, they finally came. Captain Zalor's ship sat quietly in the center of the dead city. Tall buildings reached into the sky like broken fingers. The wind didn't blow. The streets were empty. The crew felt like they had landed on a graveyard. Earth was silent, but something about it didn't feel dead. It felt waiting. The crew of 5 moved carefully. Each wore a scanner on their wrist. The air was breathable. The gravity was normal, but the atmosphere felt heavy, like something watched them from every shadow. Captain Zalor led the way, his eyes sharp. He had studied Earth for years. Now he was standing on it. "Life signs?" he asked. "None nearby," replied Yari, the team's sensor expert. Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. "But the readings are strange. It's like something is blocking the scans." Zalor frowned. "Keep moving, stay together." They walked past empty stores, broken windows, and rusted cars. Time had passed, but not too much. There was no sign of war, no burn marks, no destroyed buildings. It was like everyone had simply vanished. They reached a large human structure, some kind of government building. The doors were open, but the inside was dark. As they stepped in, the air turned cold. Their footsteps echoed across the stone floor. Inside, the walls were covered in writing. Human letters. Some words made no sense. Some were warnings. One sentence, repeated again and again. "We are still here." The crew stopped at a large screen. It blinked on by itself, glowing softly in the dark. Static danced for a moment, then a video began to play. It showed humans, soldiers, scientists. They were inside a lab. One man stood in front of the camera, his eyes were tired, his voice calm. "If you're seeing this," he said, "then you came looking. You were watching us. We knew. We've always known." He looked straight at the camera. "You thought we were weak. You thought we were not ready. But you made a mistake. You taught us how to hide. You showed us your fear. And we learned." The video ended. Silence. Yari stepped back. "Captain, I think they wanted us to see that." Zalor nodded. "They're not gone. They're hiding. Underground, maybe." They turned to leave, but a loud sound echoed through the city. Boom, boom, boom. Heavy footsteps. Something was coming. Back to the ship. "Now!" Zalor shouted. They ran through the streets, sensors screaming with noise. Something massive was behind them, but the scanners still showed nothing. The sound stopped just as suddenly as it began. The team reached the ship, breathing hard. The door sealed shut behind them. "What was that?" one of the crew asked. Zalor didn't answer. He looked out the window. In the distance, something stood on top of a building. A figure, tall, unmoving, watching them. And then it was gone. The crew tried to take off. The engines started, then stopped. "No damage," said the pilot. "Something's jamming the systems." Zalor checked the control panel. Signals were blocked. The ship was trapped. And outside, the city grew darker even though the sun hadn't set. "I don't think we're alone," he said. That night inside the ship, no one slept. Strange sounds echoed across the empty city. Metal scraping. Soft footsteps. A low, humming noise that came from the ground. Cameras placed outside caught shadows moving, but nothing was ever clear. Something, or someone, was testing them. Then, at exactly midnight, a single signal appeared on the screen. One word. "Why?" Zalor stared at it. "They're talking to us," he said quietly. "They want to know why we came." He typed a reply. "To find out what happened." The screen went dark. A moment later, a new message appeared. "Then come find us." Coordinates followed, leading to a deep place, far from the city, underground. Yari looked at Zalor. "It could be a trap." Zalor nodded. "Yes, but it's also an invitation." And deep inside the earth, far below the surface, Something ancient and powerful waited. It had many names, but once, it had been called human. Captain Zaylor and his team followed the coordinates they had received. Their ship could not fly, so they used a ground vehicle, a small crawler with strong wheels and thick armor. It rolled slowly through the empty lands of Earth, past ghost cities, over cracked roads, and through forests that had grown wild. The planet looked peaceful, but the silence was not natural. It was the kind of silence that came after something terrible. For 2 days, they traveled. Each night, they took turns watching. The sky above looked normal, but sometimes they saw flickers, small lights moving quickly, like something was following them. Finally, they reached the location. It was in the middle of a desert, far from any city. A flat piece of ground with nothing on it but rocks and dust. At first, the team thought it was a mistake. Then the ground opened. A giant metal door slid away, revealing a black hole in the earth. A ramp stretched down into the darkness. Cold air rushed up to meet them. No one spoke. They checked their equipment. Their scanners still worked, but barely. Something below was blocking signals again. Still, they moved forward. The ramp led to a tunnel. The walls were metal, smooth and clean. Lights flickered on as they walked. The place was still powered, but there were no signs of life. No sound except their own footsteps. After many turns, they reached a large underground chamber. In the center was a circle of chairs and computer screens. Everything looked old, but not broken. On one of the chairs, a human skeleton sat with its head bowed. Yari stepped forward and picked up a data chip from the console. This might have answers. Zaylor nodded. Let's play it. They placed the chip into a reader. A video appeared on the screen. A woman wearing a white coat looked at them from the past. Her eyes were tired, her voice calm. My name is Dr. Elena Mirov. If you're watching this, then someone finally came. We always knew someone would. She looked down for a moment, then back at the camera. You watched us, we knew that. We saw the satellites, the signals. We heard the whispers from space. You feared us, and you were right to. But we didn't want war. We wanted peace. She paused again. Then the attack happened. A ship came, not from Earth, you didn't send it, but it was one of yours. It fired on us, it destroyed one of our cities. The crew looked at each other in shock. We survived, she continued. We always survive, but after that, we changed. We started preparing, not to fight, but to evolve. Behind her, other humans worked in the background. Scientists, soldiers, children. Some had metal arms, some had glowing eyes. We went underground. We learned your technology. We mixed it with our own. We became more. Her face became serious. You thought we were dangerous before. Now, we are something else. The screen went dark. Silence. Then, one of the walls in the chamber opened slowly. Another door. Another path. Without a word, the team followed it. This tunnel was different. The air felt heavier. The lights were red. The deeper they went, the more strange the walls became. They were no longer smooth metal. They were covered in markings, strange symbols that were not fully human. What is this place? One of the crew asked. Zaylor said softly, a lab. Or maybe a womb. Finally, they reached a room filled with large glass tubes. Inside each one floated a figure, human in shape but not fully human. Some had extra limbs. Some had armored skin. Others looked like machines, hybrids. They were changing themselves, Yari whispered, becoming stronger, smarter. Suddenly, the lights went out. Total darkness. Then, a voice. You found us. The team turned quickly. A figure stepped out of the shadows. He looked human, but his eyes glowed a soft blue. His skin was smooth, almost metallic. He wore no armor, but he stood tall and calm. I am Kalen, he said. I was born here, I was built here. Zaylor spoke carefully. We came in peace. Kalen nodded. I know. That's why you're still alive. Silence fell. You were watching us, Kalen said. We knew, but you never helped. Even when we were dying. Even when the others attacked. We didn't know, Zaylor replied. You should have. Kalen looked at the team. You think, you came to learn. But you're already too late, we've already left this place. I stayed behind, to see who would come. He walked to one of the tubes and placed his hand on it. The figure inside opened its eyes. We are not humans anymore, Kalen said. We are what comes after. And far above, on the surface, the earth trembled softly, like something beneath it had begun to wake. Captain Zaylor stood still. His team didn't move. They watched Kalen closely, unsure if he was a friend or something much worse. He looked calm, but the way he moved, too smooth, too perfect, felt unnatural. He was not just a human. He was something new, something Earth had created in the shadows. You say others attacked Earth? Zaylor asked carefully. Kalen nodded. Yes, a small ship, not from your council, but from a race under your protection. They thought they could destroy us before we became a threat. And what did you do? Yari asked. We survived, Kalen said simply. We always survive. Behind him, the figures in the glass tubes began to move. Their eyes opened. Some looked curious, others looked angry. The crew stepped back. We don't want war, Zaylor said quickly. We came because Earth went silent. We feared the worst. Kalen's glowing eyes stared at him. You feared us? That's why you watched us all these years. Not to help, not to understand. Just to make sure we didn't leave our planet. Zaylor didn't answer. It was true. Kalen stepped closer. You were right to fear. But you're too late. Earth is no longer silent. And we are no longer alone. What does that mean? Yari asked. Kalen turned toward a large metal door at the back of the chamber. He raised his hand, and the door opened with a hiss. A tunnel stretched far into the darkness, glowing with soft blue lights. At the end, the crew saw ships, dozens of them, sleek, black, and ready. Zaylor's eyes widened. You built a fleet. We didn't just hide, Kalen said. We prepared. We learned from your technology. We improved it. Now we are ready to leave. Yari looked confused. Leave Earth? Where will you go? Everywhere. The word hung in the air like a warning. But why? Zaylor asked. The galaxy doesn't want war. Kalen looked almost sad. You had your chance to welcome us. You left us in the dark. Now we will find our place, with or without your counsel. The crew stood in silence, trying to understand what this meant. If Earth's new creations left the planet, they would spread across the galaxy. No one knew what they truly were. They were not human, not alien, not machine. They were something new and unknown. Zaylor stepped forward. Let us speak to the council. Let us help you. There doesn't need to be a war. You're too late for peace, Kalen said quietly. But maybe you can help avoid something worse. He turned to the team. There's something you need to see. They followed him down another hallway deeper underground. The walls here were old, stone and steel. This part of the base was not clean or bright. It was ancient. As they walked, the air grew colder. Finally, they reached a huge chamber. In the center stood a large circular door covered in alien symbols. Strange machines surrounded it, humming with energy. This is not human, Yari whispered. No, Kalen said. We found it long ago. Deep beneath Earth. It was here before. Us, before humans, before anything. What is it? Zaylor asked. We don't know. A gate, maybe. Or a prison. But it's waking up. And we don't think it's friendly. Zaylor stepped closer, scanning the door. His eyes narrowed. This symbol, it matches some from council records. Very old, very dangerous. This might be precursor tech. Kalen nodded. Then your council needs to know, but they won't listen to us. That's why you're going back. The crew looked shocked. You're letting us leave? Yari asked. Kalen gave a small smile. Not letting, sending. Someone has to warn the galaxy. What about you? Zaylor asked. Kalen looked back at the sealed gate. We'll try to keep it locked for as long as we can, but if it opens, you'll need every world united. Back at the surface, the team climbed into their ship. The systems were working again. No more jamming. No more silence. As they prepared for takeoff, Yari looked out the window. Far in the distance, the ground cracked open, and something huge moved beneath the soil. The last thing they heard before the engines roared to life was a message from Kalen, sent to their ship. They watched us. They feared us. Now they'll learn why. And with that, the ship rose into the dark sky, carrying a warning the galaxy wasn't ready to hear. The Deathworlders had not just survived. They had awakened something. Worse. Captain Zalor's ship broke through Earth's atmosphere and entered space. The blue planet looked calm behind them, but the crew knew the truth. Earth was no longer silent, and something ancient was waking beneath its surface. Yari sat at the control panel, sending emergency signals to the Galactic Council. Her fingers moved fast. I've sent 10 alerts, she said. Emergency level red. Someone will answer. But no one did. They passed through 3 sectors without response. Every signal went unanswered. Finally, after hours of travel, a message came in. This is Council Station 9. Identify yourself. Zaylor leaned forward. This is Captain Zaylor of the Watch Team, assigned to monitor Planet 324A. We have urgent news. Earth is not dead. I repeat, Earth is not dead. There was silence. Then a new voice spoke. Proceed to Council Base Halora. A meeting has been called. Do not delay. When they arrived, the station was already on alert. Fighters circled the platform. Warships stood ready. Clearly the Council had feared Earth for a long time. Inside the Grand Chamber, leaders from dozens of worlds sat at a long table. Some had scales, others had fur, others had metal skin. All of them were watching. Zaylor. He stood tall even though he felt small. The humans are alive, he said, but they are no longer just human. They have changed themselves, rebuilt their bodies, their minds. They have created powerful hybrids. The room murmured in alarm. They have built ships, Yari added. Strong ones. They're ready to leave Earth. And they're not asking for permission. One counselor, a tall being with glowing red eyes, stood. You mean they plan to expand? Conquer? No, Zaylor said. At least not yet, but they no longer trust us. And there's more. He showed the council the recording, the underground gate with ancient symbols. The image froze on the massive sealed door. We believe it's precursor technology, Zaylor said. Something locked away deep beneath Earth. But it's waking up. The room went silent. Finally, the high speaker of the council spoke. Her voice was slow and deep. The humans were always unpredictable. We watched them, studied them, feared them. But now, we may have pushed them into becoming something worse. What do you suggest? Another counselor asked. Attack Earth before they launch? No, Zaylor said firmly. If you attack, you will start a war you cannot win. Their minds, their weapons are far beyond what you expect. And we may need them. Yari stepped forward. If that thing under the surface wakes up, it won't care about who attacked who. It won't care about species or planets. It will just destroy. Some counselors looked unsure. Others whispered to each other. But the truth was now in front of them. They had a choice. One counselor, older than most, stood up slowly. I was young when humans first sent signals into space, he said. We thought they were dangerous then, and we were right. But not because they wanted war, because they adapt, because they survive everything, even when we did nothing to help. He looked around the room. Maybe it's time we stop fearing them, And start listening. The high speaker nodded once. Agreed. We will send a team to Earth. A peace group, not soldiers, diplomats, scientists. The humans must know. We are not all enemies. Sailor stepped forward. Send us. We've seen them. They know us now. Very well, said the speaker. You leave in 1 day, and you carry not just warning, but hope. That night, as the crew prepared to return, Zalor stood looking out the window. Stars glittered in the dark sky. Somewhere Earth was still turning, and deep below its surface something ancient waited. Yari joined him. Do you think they'll accept peace? I don't know, he said, but if they don't, the galaxy won't survive what's coming. Far across space, deep inside Earth's underground halls, Kalen stood before the ancient gate. More cracks had appeared across its surface. The symbols were glowing brighter each day. One of the hybrid guards approached. Another tremor, sir. The gate. It's getting louder. Kalen stared at the door. He could feel something moving on the other side. Not just power. Not just hunger. Intelligence. The old kind. The kind that once ruled galaxies. The kind that hated everything that came after. We don't have much time, Kalen said. Then, he turned toward a glowing console and typed a single command. Above ground, Earth's sky began to change. A beacon fired into space. A signal. Not for help, but a call. To every hybrid on Earth. Prepare. Because the true war had not even begun yet. Captain Zalor's ship entered Earth's orbit once again. This time they did not come to spy or study. They came with a message, peace. But peace was not easy to offer when the sky looked like a battlefield. Dozens of black ships floated above the planet now, each one marked with strange human symbols and sharp angles. They looked powerful, deadly, and quiet. No signals, no messages. Yari looked at the scanner. They see us, but they're not doing anything. Maybe they're waiting, Zalor said. Let's hope they remember us. The ship slowly moved closer to the surface. As they descended, the clouds parted, revealing what Earth had become. Massive cities had grown from the ruins, half metal, half nature. Tall towers mixed with green vines. Rivers ran through glowing streets. Machines flew quietly in the air. People walked below, humans or what was left of them. Many had glowing eyes, mechanical limbs, armored skin. Hybrids, everywhere. But no one looked up. No one waved. They just watched. The ship landed on a wide platform. Guards were already waiting. They wore sleek black armor and carried strange weapons, but they did not aim them. One of them stepped forward and spoke. Kalen is expecting you. Sailor nodded. Take us to him. They were led through the city. It was quiet, but alive. Clean. Organized. No children laughed, but there were no screams either. It felt balanced, controlled. They entered a large building made of silver stone and glass. Inside, Kalen stood by a window, looking down at the city. He turned as they entered. You came back, he said. You asked us to, Zalor replied, and we came with a message. Yari stepped forward. The Galactic Council has agreed to speak. They understand now. About what's coming. Kalen looked at them silently for a moment. Then he nodded. You're too late. The words hit like a hammer. What do you mean? Zalor asked. Kalen turned back to the window. Far in the distance, smoke rose into the sky. The gate, he said. It opened. Zalor's chest tightened. And what came out? We don't know, Kalen said. Not fully, it's shifting, changing shape. Like it's searching for something. Testing, Yari whispered. Precursor tech. Kalen nodded. And more, it's not just a machine. It's a mind, old and full of hate. It wants to consume. Zalor stepped closer. Then why did you send the beacon? Why not destroy the gate? Kalen's voice was cold. We tried. It repaired itself. faster than we could damage it. So we sent the signal, not just to warn, but to call our kind together. Your kind? Yari asked. Kalen faced them now. The ones who changed, the ones who adapted. Not all of us stayed on Earth. Some went underground. Others left the planet long ago, hiding in the dark places of space. Now they're returning. You're building an army, Zaylor said. No, Kalen said. We're building a shield. Zaylor looked around the room. Then let us help. The Council will send fleets, weapons, support. Kalen shook his head. Your fleets won't last 5 minutes against what's coming. Yari frowned. So, what do you want? Kalen stepped closer. Unity. No more secrets. No more watching from the shadows. If the galaxy wants to survive, it must stand together. Hybrids, aliens, everyone, or no one will. A deep rumble shook the building. Lights flickered. Somewhere underground, something massive moved. Kalen didn't flinch. It's growing stronger, feeding on energy, learning our defenses. Zaylor clenched his fists. Then we must act now. We already are, Kalen said. He turned to a console and pressed a button. A hologram appeared. Dozens of hybrid ships in motion flying across space toward nearby sectors. We're going to stop it before it leaves Earth. But if we fail, it won't stop. Not here. Not ever. Yari stared at the display. And if you win? Kalen looked at her. Then maybe Earth gets one more chance. Outside, alarms began to sound. Hybrid soldiers ran through the streets. Above them, the sky turned red. The gate had fully awakened. And now, something ancient was walking the Earth once more. Zaylor turned to Kalen. Then we fight together. Kalen nodded. Welcome to the war. As the building shook again, the crew followed Kalen toward the command center. The hybrid city was ready. Earth was ready, and for the first time in history, so was the rest of the galaxy. The ground shook harder than ever before. Buildings trembled. Roads cracked. Deep beneath the Earth, the ancient gate had opened fully. And from the black stone doorway, something crawled out. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a creature. It was something in between. A shadow made of metal and bone. It had no face, but it could see. No mouth, but it could scream. Into minds. It was a precursor. A leftover from the beginning of time. A monster that had once ruled galaxies. And now, it was awake again. Kalen stood in the command tower, watching the screens. All over the world, hybrid cities were alert. Armies were ready. Ships floated in the sky, their weapons hot. This was the moment they had trained for. This is it, he said quietly. Everyone to battle stations. Beside him, Captain Zaylor and Yari stood ready. Their hands trembled, but not from fear, from purpose. They knew they were no longer just observers. They were part of Earth's last stand. All across the planet, hybrid soldiers moved into position. Ships launched, energy cannons charged. The creature rose slowly from the pit, dragging pieces of the broken gate with it. Its body glowed with green light, and its voice filled the sky. You are dust. You are mistakes. You do not belong. The voice stabbed into every mind. Across the galaxy, even far-off council worlds heard it. Many screamed. Some fainted. But, on Earth, no one ran. Kalen looked into the sky and answered, We are the future, we are not afraid. And with that, the battle began. Ships flew in fast, blasting energy beams at the creature. It roared, not with sound but with power, and knocked 3 ships out of the air. Hybrid troops fired strange weapons, piercing the creature's armor. Still it kept moving, growing, changing. Each time it was hit, it learned, adapted, grew stronger. Yari shouted, Our attacks are too slow. Zaylor pointed to the data screen. Its energy is building toward a wave. If it reaches full charge, it'll destroy the planet. Kalen's face was calm. Then we don't let it. He turned to the console. Activate Project Hammer. Deep, underground, a hidden chamber opened. A weapon older than any council tech rose from the earth. Built by Earth's best minds and hybrid engineers, it was powered by dark matter, something even the precursors feared. It rose into the sky and aimed at the heart of the beast. The creature turned, sensing the threat. It screamed again, shaking the clouds. Then it charged. Kalen shouted into the comms, "Hold it off. We need time." All across Earth, hybrid ships slammed into the creature. Some exploded. Others cut deep into its flesh. Still, they fought on. They had no choice. Sailor and Yari jumped into smaller fighters and joined the battle, leading a squad toward the creature's head. As they dodged energy blasts, Yari called out, "This is madness!" Sailor smiled grimly. "No, this is what Deathworlders do." At last, the weapon was ready. Kalen gave the order. Fire. A beam of pure darkness shot through the sky, piercing the clouds. It struck the creature in the chest. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, light. A huge explosion rocked the earth. A flash brighter than the sun lit up the sky. The creature screamed one last time, then crumbled, its body melting into the earth. The shadow was gone. The gate collapsed in on itself. Silence fell over Earth. In the command tower, everyone waited. No alarms, no tremors. Kalen finally spoke. "We did it." Sailor and Yari returned safely, their ships damaged but intact. They stood beside Kalen, looking out at the sky. Yari said softly, "We won. But at what cost?" Kalen's eyes were tired. Thousands lost, but billions saved. For the first time, the Council sent a message, not of fear, but of respect. Earth has proven itself. The Deathworlders have risen. They will be part of the galaxy, and we will stand beside them. And just like that, the story changed. Earth was no longer the silent planet. It was no longer just watched from above. It was now a protector, a leader, a warning. From that day on, every race in the galaxy remembered what happened. And they knew one truth above all. You can watch the Deathworlders. You can fear the Deathworlders. But if you wake something ancient, you better hope the Deathworlders respond. Because when they do, they don't come quietly. They come to end the darkness. Forever.